Do you need a new diagnostic computer with a lot of features at a great value? The XTool may be the one for you. Now, XTool has a ton of different OBD2 readers, as well as diagnostic computers, and even peripherals like endoscopes, TPMS, relearners, battery modules. But this handles a lot of that, and it will work with other units as well. Now, specifically, this is the model number D7W. And even though the D7 has been out for a little while, the D7W has a feature or several features that the regular D7 definitely does not, starting with the module and how it communicates. Now, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. Let me just go ahead and dive into the features of this. Then we'll use this and then come back and talk about what we like about it, what we don't like about it, pricing, warranty, and other items. Today we've got the XTool Diagnostics OBD2 scanner. Well, it's more than just a scanner. We'll talk about that here in just one moment. Let's get this package opened. And by the way, we have opened this and charged it, but as far as really using it, we really haven't done so. So it'll be kind of first time use for us as well. Done a little research. So here's what it comes in: the XTool and XTool Tech, Shenzhen XTool Tech Intelligent Company Limited, whatever. Anyway, so here is how it comes. We have a quick start guide. There really is no manual. By the way, if you're hearing a lot of jets and airplanes, we have the Sun and Fun fly-in every year. It's like the second biggest air show in the world or in the US, and so we have planes out here for 2 weeks, and they're always buzzing around. You may even hear the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds buzzing by. Anyway, so here's a quick start guide. There really is no thick manual. You can access that from the unit itself. So basically it just talks about getting started, putting your email address in and updating things like that. Now, here's what it comes with. The tablet's over here, but one thing it's not short on is cables for charging. As you can see here, we have the typical US 110, 120 volt, and then we also have this plug here, so covering all the Europeans. Enjoy that jet flying by. And then we have basically an adapter that I'm sure steps that down to the 5 volts or 12 volts that it's requiring. Yeah, 12 volts, so 12 volt output at 3 amps. So it's charging on 12 volts, but obviously converting that from 120 volts. So it comes with all this. Probably don't need these two if you're in the US. Just throw those away and open you up some more room here. And then we have a USB to USB cable, but this is really not needed because one of the cool things about this that makes this different than most others, especially at this price point, is this dongle here. Well, you may say, you know what, Tim, there's many others that have dongles that connect to the scanner or to the scan tool, and you are correct. However, this is not Bluetooth, this is Wi-Fi. We'll cover why that's important in just a second. So let's put that aside, and then we'll open up the Velcro straps here and take a look at the scanner. So let's move our little case aside and take a closer look at the scanner. The XTool D7W runs on the Android 10 operating system, and that's going to update over time, obviously, as Android rolls out new versions, but you're already starting on a very up-to-date system. We also get what looks like to be about a 7-inch screen, if I'm not mistaken. So if we go from corner to corner, yeah, 2 to 9, so we get a 7-inch screen. And by the way, you get 3 years of updates with this as well. So you get a 2-year warranty on the machine itself, but you get 3 years of updates. So once you purchase this, you get 3 years of updating the system. And by the way, there's a little update tab right here. When you turn it on, you click the update tab. When we originally got this, I think there were like 140 updates because this handles like 140 different models and 85 plus manufacturers. So I had a ton of updates, and you may even have a firmware update to do when you first get yours. but right now it says there are no updates. But it's really easy to do the updates. You hit the update tool and then you can say update all, or you can just select the manufacturers that you want to update. And when you go into this screen here, you can basically choose between Europe, Americas, and Asia, and that'll have the different groupings of the manufacturers, and you can go in that way. Or you can just hit the VIN button here and auto scan, and when the dongle's in place, it will actually auto scan and look for all the VIN information, the manufacturer. Now, if it's an older vehicle, you may have to manually input that and actually input the VIN or select from the actual manufacturer and model. Now, when we look at the top of this unit, we see a couple of things that we have here. Number one, the barrel connector for the charger. I do wish that it had a different type of charger, but it charges with 12 volts from the 120 volt adapter. So that's the way you charge it. This is a USB type A port. Again, I wish it had a USB type C that would communicate that way as well as be able to charge that way. I think that would just be a small expense to do so and would be a great feature to have. However, we're charging from the 12 volt barrel connector there. On the back side of the unit, we have a little kickstand. This comes in very handy, not only for, on the desk here or on the worktop, but also to put, on your toolbox, and also it should hang when you're in the car as well. And we will show you that. Now, this is a very rugged case. I say case, it's kind of built in. But it's got rubber overmolding here on the right and the left, so it grips very easy. Nice thick design, so should be quite rugged for getting banged around the shop. Nothing here on the bottom. On the back side, as well as the kickstand, we have a speaker, and then we also have a camera and what looks like an LED light there for a flash or for a flashlight. It looks like we probably have a covering there, so yeah, make sure you take that off when you first get it. Which, by the way, on the front side, there is a cover as well, but I left that on there and just kind of trimmed off the little tab that was on there and just used that as your screen protector. Or if you want to peel that off and get your own screen protector, you can do that as well. Now, once you've done all your updates, it's going to take you back to this screen here, and then this is where you can go to your diagnostic, your special functions, or reporting, whatever you want to do. And even a more button here if we go into more. Then it gives us some additional functions we can do from an endoscope, so we can add different items to it as well. So we can utilize that camera on an endoscope to actually keep it as part of this report here and be able to see it right here on our screen. Obviously profile and VCI management as well. And then here's our user manual also. So back out of there, and if we go into special functions, you have a huge array of different special functions we can do, from battery management to key programming. And by the way, this is going to be different per manufacturer. So we may be able to do some key programming, say on GM, but not be able to do anything on BMW, VW, things like that. That's not set in stone. I'm just giving you an idea that some manufacturers may not offer some of these special functions that we have here on the screen. Even into your throttle position, EEPROM, even speed limiting, as well as oil reset, headlights, just a huge gamut. Airbag stuff, again, that may be particular to some different manufacturers and not on others, but just a lot of different special functions that they do offer. If we go into diagnostic, it's probably going to be looking for our VIN, but we can also just go in here and say, okay, we're going to go into Europe, which is here we are, or I can go into the Americas. So you can see all of our different U.S. manufacturers, even though it's not manufactured here, but you get it. So if I went into Cadillac, and so this is where it's actually looking for the VCI. It's looking for the dongle that it's plugged in, and it's not plugged in. So it's probably going to return me back to the screen here until it finds this. So we'll plug it in here in just one moment. Yeah, so it says VCI connection failed. So it's trying to connect to this via Wi-Fi, not finding it. So I can say okay, and I'm sure again back to the screen. So we can select it from the menu here, but also when I plug this in, you'll see that it auto recognizes that I plugged something in and should find that VIN if it's a new enough vehicle. Now let's talk about why this Wi-Fi is important, or why it's something that's more beneficial than, say, Bluetooth. And by the way, as far as protocol here, this will handle CAN FD protocol, so your 2020 plus GM vehicles, as well as DOIP protocol for your BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover communication as well. So let's talk about this Wi-Fi. In fact, let's talk about the old Bluetooth. So most of your dongles talked over Bluetooth. And what we would have the vehicle or the ECM, maybe even the TCM, and other modules in the vehicle that was then talking to, let's just call it the dongle. And then that was talking to the diagnostic computer. Okay? Well, the problem was the way that this dongle was talking to the diagnostic computer was over Bluetooth. Okay? And by the way, this is bidirectional as well. So the diagnostic computer is talking back and forth to the dongle is talking back and forth to the ECM, TCM, and other modules that are in the vehicle. Well, this can be a huge roadblock. In other words, there's only so fast of data transfer speed in Bluetooth, and it's not that impressive. This is, what, 20-year-old technology that we're dealing with. Now, we've got additional versions, or we've gone up in versions with Bluetooth, but still, it's not near as fast as Wi-Fi. So if we take this and then we talk to the dongle and the diagnostic computer with Wi-Fi, now all of a sudden our speeds are much faster. However, what we still have is the communication here between the car, the different modules, and the dongle. So there can still be a roadblock here where the car's computer can't talk all that fast to the dongle, but we definitely don't have the hurdle with the Bluetooth. Also, we're going to get probably more range with the Wi-Fi as well. So if you want to be working at your desk or on your toolbox and the dongle's in the vehicle, you can definitely do that. Or maybe you need to have this on the charge because it's not USB, or you can't use it in a cigarette lighter. You can have this plugged in again on your toolbox and be able to work from the toolbox while the dongle is in the vehicle. Now let's go get this plugged into a car and see what we think. One of the cool things about this kickstand is not only is it good for the toolbox, but also it should enable you to hang it there on the front of the steering wheel as well, depending on the configuration of the steering wheel. But it will not hang up here, but it will hang right there in front of the airbag. And let me get the dongle in place. So now you see with the key on, it has a VCI and a green antenna right there telling us it's connected to the VCI. And if we go into diagnostic, also it's going to update the firmware on the VCI. I should have checked that already. Shouldn't take but a few seconds. And now if I say automatic selection, and it says Escalade ESV or Escalade EXT, we're going to say Escalade ESV because it is the ESV, and then it's going to pull up some data here, 2007, and VIN number. I'm going to say OK. And by the way, this old girl has got like 220-something thousand miles on it. It's been a great vehicle, but it does have some issues. It's got a few lights on the dash. Let's actually go back to our desk and run the diagnostic on this from there. Now let's clean up our workspace real quick. So now we'll go ahead and run an automatic scan. I told you it had a few issues. Well, maybe we should talk about what it doesn't have an issue with rather than what it does. So you can see everything from remote control door lock, HVAC, electronic brake control, passenger presence system, electronic suspension, yeah, I knew that, digital radio receiver, passenger door switch, I knew that, driver door switch, memory seat module, Transmission control module, I knew that. We've got several issues there. And then ECM as well, so engine control module as well. So a lot here to diagnose. Let's just step into the transmission, and I'm going to say diagnosis. And let's just read the trouble code. So here are the trouble codes just in the TCM. So 11 different codes here: a brake switch, input speed sensor, shift solenoid, valve performance stuck off, pressure control solenoid. My goodness, it's amazing this thing is still driving, which, by the way, sometimes you have to shut it off and back on to get it to shift correctly. But anyway, transmission fluid pressure switch, you name it, is wrong with this transmission. However, it's still holding together. This old 6L80E is still doing a great job at 225,000 miles. And by the way, never had a transmission fluid change, at least in the past 150,000 miles. So we can build a report with this. We can go and we can try to clear the codes if we want to. Let me back out of here. We could also read live data. So if we actually had it running, we could read pressures, things like that. I'm sure it's not going to give me anything. So the transmission, TCC, the shift, the solenoid. So it's basically reading nothing right now. 0 RPM, 0 engine speed, we get it. It's not running. So, but that would give us our data. Again, same thing here. So going into the transmission data, obviously we're not going to have anything. We could also do special functions from here. So reset transmission oil life. So if we did actually do a fluid change, we could reset that on there. So we get it there on the diagnostic side. Now, if we could also, if I went into here, and let's say HVAC control, and read trouble codes. If I hit the magnifying glass, it will actually look that code up and give me some direction here from Google to actually do some research on that code. Hit the little, you can see kind of a hot function button there. Let me go back into there. So from our browser, you can see I can hit the little automotive or a little vehicle icon right here, and that will take me back into the diagnostic mode. So we have some hot function buttons down there at the bottom. So we did the automatic scan. If I went into actual system diagnose, that's where I can actually select maybe just transmission control module or liftgate module, whatever module. It's going to have all the modules here where we can go specifically into that one and take a look. So if I wanted to go into passenger door switch and say read trouble code or do an actuation test. So I can do a light test, a mirror test, a door unlock and lock. Let's try that, door lock and unlock. So if I want to lock, I heard it just lock. If I want to unlock, I just heard it unlock as well. So we can do that right there from the machine or from the diagnostic computer. If I go into remote control door lock receiver, from there I can program key fobs right here. So I can invalidate all the key fobs and reprogram them to number 1, number 2, number 3, or I can just say next available slot and program another one or a new one. I can also from here go into a TPM learn mode, so rather than actually manually going through, I can do that from here. And then I can go into tire type and pressure selection here. I'm curious what they're going to give us on this. So if I say OK, I can select the load range and then go in there to the pressures from there. I'm just going to back out right there. So you see a lot of the functions that we can do right here from the unit. Now let's go back into our Cadillac there. It's going to auto scan and find that module again. So again, I'm sitting probably 35 feet away from the vehicle right now, and it's now communicating back to that VCI module. We'll just go ahead and do an automatic scan one more time. We'll just go ahead and do an automatic scan one more time. And let's just clear all DTCs. I know it's not going to clear all of them, but let's go ahead and run that. And you can see it's going through each one, clearing trouble codes. And I'm sure they will show back up, and I'm sure some of them will probably clear. Okay, so now it's showing no DTCs. I'm sure that's a lie. I wish that from right here we could actually do a rescan. I guess I have to go back into it and do a rescan one more time. So several of these it has cleared. Obviously the drivers or the ECM it has not cleared. Electronic suspension it did not clear. And most or all of these will show back up one more time. So it did clear everything except for the electronic suspension and the ECM or engine control module. I'm curious what we have in the ECM. Oil pressure sensor circuit, high voltage. Not sure what's going on there. Anyway, so it's definitely working to clear codes. And we also have a lot of special functions here. Depending on your manufacturer is going to determine what type of special functions and how far you can go from key programming and battery management and all sorts of airbag, brake controls, things like that. I'm sure some of your VWs, BMWs, a lot of your European market probably have some limitations on some of those things, but still a highly functional unit here, especially with Wi-Fi capability to the VCI. Very clear diagnostic report with the vehicle information there and the codes. Excellent material for you to take to your customer or for you to save. So you can save it here or I can exit out. No doubt about it, the D7W definitely provides a lot of function and a lot of features within this unit, especially at the price point. Now it's $540. You can buy it on Amazon and you get a 2-year warranty with it. Now you get a 2-year warranty, but you get a 3-year update. In other words, you get all the updates for 3 years after you purchase the diagnostic computer. Now it is bidirectional. It's going to talk back and forth. And we love the fact that it has the Wi-Fi capability, or it talks over Wi-Fi and not over Bluetooth. That's going to provide a lot faster connection. But as we mentioned, doesn't mean the vehicle's not going to slow that down as well. So when it's communicating to that car's computer or car's computers, that may be the roadblock, if you will, and not the actual dongle. But now, at least the Bluetooth is not going to be that barricade in the road, if you will. So we like that fact. We do wish it didn't just have the 12-volt barrel connector, as we mentioned. I would love to see USB Type-C for charging and communication on this, but we get it. That's a cost factor. That would just be more money we'd have to pay. But I think that's probably pretty small, knowing that you're already setting in at $540 for this. So we'd love to see USB Type-C in it. We do feel like it has a nice rugged frame to it. It's running the Android 10, and obviously you're going to get that update. And obviously you're going to get those updates as they roll out as well. Nice large screen, 7-inch screen that you can easily see, and the reporting functionality is nice and clean. There's not a lot of specific information to the manufacturer in there. It's just talking about the car, the vehicle, the reports, and the real data that you need to provide to your customer or for yourself to do that research. So check it out for yourself, $540. Also keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video, well, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.